The quadruple dream is dead. Manchester City just walked out of Wembley with the Carabao Cup, and Arsenal are left standing in the rubble asking how, why and what comes next. Welcome to James Arsenal Analysis. I am James, and today we are going deep on everything that went wrong, everything that still matters, and everything that Mikel Arteta needs to answer for before this season reaches its defining moments. If you are new here, please subscribe right now, hit that like button, turn on notifications, drop your reaction in the comments. I want to hear from every single one of you today, because today we have a lot to process together. Stay until the very end, because I am going to give you the full tactical breakdown, the team selection verdict, and why I still believe this season is not over, not even close. But first, we have to be honest about what happened at Wembley this afternoon, because dishonesty helps nobody, and on this channel we call it exactly as it is, even when it hurts. So let us set the scene properly. Arsenal walked into Wembley 9 points clear at the top of the Premier League. 9 in the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, in the last 16 of the Champions League, with Victor Gyökeres having scored 15 goals in all competitions this season and looking like the complete striker this club has waited years for, with Bukayo Saka back contributing, with Declan Rice anchoring the midfield like a general, with a squad that on paper looked more than capable of handling a Manchester City side that had lost to West Ham, failed to beat Nottingham Forest, and had not been consistent enough to genuinely threaten Arsenal's position at the summit of English football. And then the game happened, and in 60 minutes and 64 minutes, Nico O'Reilly happened, and Kepa Arrizabalaga happened, and a Wembley occasion that Arsenal were expected to handle swallowed them whole. Let us start with the most uncomfortable conversation first, because it is the one the entire football world is having right now, the goalkeeper situation. Mikel Arteta made the decision to start Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal ahead of David Raya. His reasoning is understandable on a human level. Kepa played every single round of this competition. He was the reason Arsenal were at Wembley in the first place. You do not drag a player out of his own cup final because a bigger occasion arrives. There is a loyalty argument there. There is a consistency argument there. And Arteta made that call publicly and stood by it without hesitation. But football is a results business. And the results today told a painful story. In the opening period, Kepa looked nervy. His distribution was uncertain. When Jeremy Doku drove at him, the decision-making was hesitant. And then the moment that changed the final arrived. Ryan Cherki floated a high cross into the Arsenal area. Kepa came to claim it. He got underneath it, misjudged the flight, and the ball slipped straight through his gloves and dropped on the goal line for a 21-year-old Nico O'Reilly to tap into an empty net. Wembley went quiet on the Arsenal end, and the red and white side of that stadium knew in that instant that the decision to leave David Raya on the bench had just cost them dearly. 4 minutes later, Matheus Nunes delivered a cross from the right, and O'Reilly got across his marker and headed the ball past Kepa with authority. 2-0, final over. Now, I want to be clear, I am not here to bury Kepa Arrizabalaga. He has been serviceable in this competition. He has done his job across multiple rounds. But David Raya is Arsenal's number one. He is the best goalkeeper at this football club in 2026. He is the man Arteta trusts in the Premier League, in the Champions League, in every match that has the highest stakes. And at Wembley in a cup final, the argument for leaving your best goalkeeper on the bench and starting a capable but clearly inferior option became very difficult to defend the moment that cross slipped through Kepa's hands. Darren Bent said it on TalkSport, and I agree with him. When you get to a Wembley final, you play your best players, full stop. Now let us talk about Nico O'Reilly, because this young man deserves enormous credit, and we should not allow Arsenal's pain to overshadow what he achieved today. 21 years old, 2 goals in a League Cup final at Wembley. He is now only the 3rd youngest player in history to score twice in a League Cup final. The others are Wayne Rooney for Manchester United in 2006 and Ronnie Whelan for Liverpool in 1982. That is elite company, historic company, and he did it with Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, watching from the stands. His first goal was gifted to him by the goalkeeping error, but his second was the finish of a composed, intelligent, technically sound footballer. He read the cross from Nunes early, he got across his marker, he got over the ball and put it into the net. No panic, no panic. Pep Guardiola went absolutely wild on the touchline when that ball hit the net. He was off down the technical area, pumping his fist, and then found himself in conversation with the 4th official holding a yellow card. He did not care one bit. This was a Manchester City side that people had written off in this fixture. City were 9 points behind Arsenal in the league. They had been inconsistent. Pundits could not make a case for them before kickoff. And then they went to Wembley and won the Carabao Cup with a performance built on tactical discipline and individual quality. That is what Guardiola does at his absolute best. Now let us talk about James Trafford, because his contribution to this result deserves a proper examination. Arsenal came out of the blocks quickly in the opening minutes. Kai Havertz was involved, Bukayo Saka was driving at City, and Trafford made a magnificent triple save to deny both of them in those early exchanges. 3 saves in a matter of seconds, 3 separate blocks, and in that moment the game was saved before it had truly begun. When your goalkeeper makes a triple save inside the opening 5 minutes of a cup final, it shifts the entire psychological momentum of the match. Arsenal had been the aggressors, they had created the clearest chances, and then they looked up and saw Trafford denying them at every attempt, and City held firm, rode the storm, and then gradually took control. The first half was not a spectacle, just 7 shots between both sides in 45 minutes. That was the fewest in the first half of a League Cup final or FA Cup final since the Chelsea versus Manchester City League Cup final in 2019. Both managers were playing it tight and controlled, and the match was waiting for something to break the deadlock. City provided the breakthrough in the second half. They began to dominate, and when Cherki's cross found Kepa unprepared, the whole game flipped in 4 decisive minutes. Now I want to spend some serious time on the tactical picture, because this is not just about one goalkeeper selection. This is about how Arsenal approached a big occasion and whether Arteta got it right from a broader perspective. At the highest level, cup finals at Wembley against experienced opponents require 2 things above everything else. You must control your aggression in the opening period and not leave yourself exposed trying to force an early lead. And you must maintain your structural shape when the game tightens in the second half and the opposition starts to impose themselves. In the first half, Arsenal did show genuine intent. Saka was electric in spells, Havertz was working hard in the channels, Leandro Trossard was trying to find pockets between City lines, but the final ball was missing. The key decisions in the final third were poor, and City's defensive organisation, led by Ruben Dias and Manuel Akanji, was immaculate. Then in the second half, Pep Guardiola turned the screw. City started to control the tempo through Bernardo Silva and Tijani Reinders in the engine room. Reinders, who has been one of the best summer signings in European football this season after arriving from AC Milan, was outstanding. He covered ground, he recycled possession, he gave Guardiola's side the control they needed to pick their moments. And Rayan Cherki, what a player this 21-year-old Frenchman is proven to be. His assist for the first goal, a high whipped cross delivered with the confidence of someone who has played 10 years at the top level, was a piece of quality that deserved a goal. It just so happened that it also needed a goalkeeping error to make it one. Ricardo Calafiori came on as a substitute and gave Arsenal their best moments in the final quarter of the game. He nearly pulled one back with a well-struck effort that had Trafford clutching at thin air before the ball clipped the post. He also got in again from a Declan Rice free kick, but his header was straight at Trafford and comfortably held. And that substitution brings up another set of questions that the supporters and the media will ask of Arteta in the coming days. Were the right options brought on at the right moments? Did the starting lineup genuinely represent Arsenal's best possible chance of winning at Wembley? Calafiori, who is an intelligent, creative defender with the ability to drive forward, only got onto the pitch when the game was already gone. Victor Gyökeres, Arsenal's top scorer with 15 goals this season, and the man signed precisely for these biggest moments, should have been the central focus of everything Arsenal tried to do going forward. On that front, I want the supporters to be honest in the comments. Did Arteta use his squad correctly today? Let me know. Let us now address the noise that will follow Arsenal around for the next 48 hours. Because the critics, the pundits, the rival fans, they are all going to say the same thing. Arsenal cannot win a trophy. Arsenal cannot handle the big occasion. Arteta does not have what it takes. The quadruple dream is dead, and maybe the rest of the season will unravel in the same way. Here is my response to all of that. No, not yet. Not even close. This is one result, one painful, gut-wrenching, infuriating result at Wembley where a goalkeeper error decided a cup final. It does not mean this team cannot win trophies. It does not mean Mikel Arteta is the wrong man for this club. It does not mean the Premier League title will slip away. Arsenal are still 9 points clear at the top of the table. They are still in the FA Cup. They are still in the Champions League. And the dressing room, the squad, the people inside that club right now have the quality and the resilience to respond. Think about what this squad looks like when it is fully fit and fully firing. Declan Rice is one of the best midfielders in England. Victor Gyökeres is tearing the Premier League apart. Bukayo Saka, when fully fit and at his best, is one of the 3 finest wingers in European football. David Raya is an outstanding goalkeeper who gives this club an elite foundation at the back. Miles Lewis-Skelly at 20 years old has been one of the revelations of this English football season. This is a squad built for trophies. Today it fell short. That is the reality. But One final does not define a season, and I refuse to allow the negativity to drown out the bigger picture. Mikel Arteta has now won 4 of his 17 meetings with Pep Guardiola. That is a record that needs to improve. There is no sugarcoating that when Arsenal face City in the Premier League later in this season, that record will be on the mind of every supporter, and the Champions League is still alive. If Arsenal want to win this club's first European Cup since 1970, they will almost certainly have to beat elite managers in elite moments. That capacity to step up on the grandest stage has to grow. It has to be built game by game, occasion by occasion. Today was a setback, but the men who have been in the Arsenal dressing room building something genuinely special over the past 3 years do not fold at the first sign of adversity. And they have faced setbacks before, they have responded before, and the supporters who travel with this club, who live and breathe red and white, you know that the team which wins the Premier League title or a Champions League is not built without going through pain first. Before I close today's show, I want to talk about something that nobody is giving enough attention to. The new generation of players at this club and what their development means for the future of Arsenal Football Club. Miles Lewis-Skelly signed a long-term contract at the start of this season. He has been a consistent, combative, technically gifted presence on the left side of Arsenal's defence and midfield this year. He is not even old enough to feel the weight of today yet in the way that a more experienced player would. That is actually a weapon. He will play again, he will grow, he will have better Wembley days ahead, and then there are the senior players who have put in work all season. Declan Rice has been Arsenal's engine. Christian Norgard has brought leadership and experience to the central midfield after his move from Brentford in the summer. Eberechi Eze has added creativity and unpredictability that this squad previously lacked. And Victor Gyökeres is not a player who will stay quiet for long. When Arsenal needed goals in the biggest moments this season, he delivered, and he will deliver again. The question is whether Arteta can orchestrate those individual qualities into a collective capable of winning. Today, the answer was no. For the rest of this season, I expect the answer to change. One final thought before we close out. Nico O'Reilly is an England international. He is 21 years old. He just scored twice at Wembley in a cup final in front of Thomas Tuchel, the England manager. He came through the Manchester City Academy. He has waited for his moment, stayed patient, stayed professional, and today he took his moment with both hands and did not let go. There are Arsenal youngsters watching that today. There are players at every level of the game watching what dedication, patience and quality can produce when the stage finally opens up for you. That is not a story about Manchester City beating Arsenal. That is a story about a footballer who believed in himself absolutely and proved it when it mattered most. Football produces those moments even when they hurt, even when they happen against us. Right, that is the full breakdown. The team selection debate, the tactical picture, the keeper verdict, the O'Reilly tribute, the Trafford heroics, the bigger picture for the rest of the Arsenal season, and my honest assessment of what Arteta must now do with what remains. The quadruple dream is gone, but the Premier League is in Arsenal's hands. The FA Cup is there, the Champions League is there, and this squad is good enough to go and win something that means everything to every single person who watches this channel. I am James, this is James Arsenal Analysis. If you believe in this club, subscribe right now, hit the like button, drop your reaction in the comments below. Tell me who you blame today. Tell me what Arteta should have done differently. Tell me whether you believe this Arsenal team has what it takes to go and win the Premier League title now. I want every single opinion, every one of them. Notifications on. Stay with the channel. We are not done this season. Not by a long stretch. Come on, Arsenal.